In this video, I would like to discuss parsing numbers from a text box. By default, a text box returns a text value. So if I place a number in that, JavaScript will recognize that as a text value, not a number. JavaScript is a loosely typed language. So if I try to add two values from two different text boxes, JavaScript will probably concatenate them because it looks as both of them as text. However, if I want to multiply them, JavaScript realizes that you can't multiply text and it will interpret those values as numeric. So if you know that you are performing multiplication and division, it really is not necessary to parse the values. However, there's nothing wrong with that. And I would like to show you when to do that. It is preferable to make sure that the user is typing in a valid number. So if I type in 123 and I click parse, it gives me 123. And I am using parseInt. The reason I am using parseInt is because many times you don't know what the value will be, and it could be a decimal. So I'm not having any problem here with. Supposing I parse 123.555 XYZ. JavaScript parsed that number. However, that is not a valid number. And should the user enter something invalid, you are changing the user's entry into something that will work for you. And this is not a good approach. Supposing I put my XYZ in front. And now I try to parse that. What is it telling me? It's telling me this is not a number. So before you work with numbers, if you want to parse them, first you test to see whether it is a number or not. Then, once you have determined it's a number, if you want to parse it, then go right ahead. Don't automatically start parsing any number that is in a text box because you might obtain incorrect data. So let's take a look at the code that I just demonstrated. Here is my text box, cost purchase, and here is my button. So in my onload section, I make the reference to the button. When the button is clicked, it calls the parse function. I am using a named function. I am retrieving the value from the text box, and I am parsing it with an alert. Once again, alerts are very good methods to use for seeing the value of an expression. So I am using the parseFloat, and I am parsing this value, and that is how we determined whether or not we had a valid number.